Hummock's repair job could take the rest of the year.
More parking spaces for Larchmont commuters.
A lot of noise about the noise along I-95.
St. Vito's celebrating its annual festa.
Ryeneck gets closer to finding a new school superintendent.
And Healthy Chicken is the boast of a new takeout shop off the coast road. Hello and welcome to Larchmont and Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Rita. Community News, I'm Rita Blockton.
And I'm Roger Norum. Our top story, the Hummock's pool disaster, and the word from the Mamaroneck School District, which owns the pool, is that it may take until the end of the year before the pool is operational again. For more on the developments surrounding the botched tile job at the Hummock's pool, Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News checked around. Sarah Tate, a number of questions have arisen since the Hummock's pool closed, and it looks like it's not only going to be closed for possibly the whole summer, but maybe into the fall, and I guess is there a chance it would be closed into next year?
Well, we're certainly hopeful that that isn't going to happen, and we're working as quickly as we can to make sure that that doesn't happen. We are dealing presently with the bonding company and making a determination as to how they want to proceed. Mm-hmm. They have an option of turning over the project to the district, of having a contractor, hiring a contractor themselves to do the job. And in the event that they don't do anything, then it will be the district's decision to decide how they want to proceed, and that is to go to get a contractor.
The best guess, though, as I understand, according to the letter that was sent out from the school district to area residents, is from 12 to 20 weeks once a contractor is actually going to do the work.
That's correct.
So
we're working to get the starting date as close as possible.
As quickly as possible. How did it come about that Atlantic Construction, which apparently had sort of a spotty record in construction work in the past, wound up with this contract?
Atlantic had the contract with us for the Mamaroneck Avenue School library renovation as well as the post office renovation. And they were doing a very good job. At the same time, when the pool bid went out, they were the low bidder, and by state law...
And by state law, you have to accept the low bidder. At the same time, when the construction work is going on, does the district have as a policy to have somebody oversee construction work?
We have a clerk of the works, and then the normal, whatever normal supervision would come out of a contract with the architect. I
imagine in a case like this, there's probably a lot of finger pointing going around. Who's pointing the finger at who? Or I should say, where's the responsibility line?
Well, the responsibility in terms of doing the work was that of Atlantic Contracting, and they did not carry out their contract as they were supposed to. Poor workmanship, in this case, seems to be what has occurred.
Mm-hmm. And so the situation looks like, when do you expect that the Hummock's pool will be reopened, or when do you hope to have it reopened?
Well, we're hopeful that it will be in the late fall.
Mamaroneck Town recreation officials have been scrambling to reschedule its summer swim program. They now have 80% of their summer swim program scheduled. The Mamaroneck Town swim team, the semi-private children's swimming lessons, and the children's camp will be able to use Saxon Woods Pool to practice. Losing the Hummock's pool because of the loose tiles has been very tough on the 3,000 people who use the pool every day. Recreational swimmers can use Oakdale Beach in Rye Town, and Mamaroneck Town officials hope to get permission to use Harbor Island from the Mamaroneck Village. Mamaroneck Town officials hope that within 2 weeks the whole program will be rescheduled.
Mamaroneck Village Police kept pretty busy last week. Last Tuesday alone saw the Orienta section of the village get hit with 10 car break-ins in just one day. Car telephones and radios were among the items stolen. Police Chief Joseph Del Bianco says the multiple thefts were a one-shot deal. All the cars were parked at residences in Orienta. On another police matter, the investigation continues by Mamaroneck Village Police into the murder 3 weeks ago of David Blaux, the manager of the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club. More than 100 people have been interviewed so far by police, but so far no word on a suspect or a motive. Rita?
Larchmont is getting 33 new parking spaces at the train station, and to speak more about it is Mayor Cheryl Lewy.
In 1988, when I was first elected trustee, we started negotiating with Metro North to lease the land that extends down from Bozell Plaza near Nicky's Pizzeria. And it's taken 4 years to work out a contract that we both could live with, but we will build 33 parking spaces. 17 will be for commuters, and 16 will be for the village of Larchmont to designate any way we want. We have not made up our mind, but it looks as if we will use them for merchants and residents.
Now, how long have you been mayor now?
About almost 2 months.
And how does it feel?
It feels wonderful. It's busy, exciting, lots of interesting topics, and wonderful people to work with.
Tell me about the moratorium on fast foods.
Denise Fletcher, who is chairman of our board of zoning board of appeals, made an annual report to the village board a couple of months ago, and one of her recommendations was that the village look into several areas where she felt we needed zoning changes, and they were fast food or takeout places, swimming pools, and decks. And the board authorized a planning study this past Monday night to look at the fast food takeout restaurants, and probably, if we can afford it, we will also look at the aesthetics, because we're terribly concerned.
Good.
I am especially. It's been a top priority of mine
Good.
as to what the entire business district looks like, so that we can have the guidelines that we need to get the kinds of facades and signs.
Wonderful. You think one day we'll have all uniform colors and...
No, I don't think we'll ever have that.
Yeah.
The nature of Larchmont is just not that way. They don't want to be typecast into anything. We're really a community of individuals.
Yeah.
What I think I would like is a palette of colors and a range of styles that are acceptable from which the applicants can select,
choose.
that would then have harmonious nuances between them that flow, and I think then we would be satisfied.
Great.
Late last month, 2 men held up the Ground Round restaurant on the Post Road at Northbury Avenue and got away with some cash register money. One of the robbers had an Uzi machine gun, the other a revolver. Mamaroneck Village cops can't recall any other robberies with Uzis involved. The robbery has the owner of the Ground Round pretty angry. He's offering a $1,000 reward leading to the arrest of the 2 men who took part in the heist. Anyone with information can call Village Police at 698-2400.
Some renovations at Mamaroneck Village Hall are going to help the handicapped. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin with that story. Joe.
No man is an island, they say, and that's true and that's good. And I say, no village is an island, and again, that's true and that's good. Mamaroneck Village must bring the 104-year-old Village Hall up to federal standards as mandated by the 1990 passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It is a complex problem because although the Village Hall partially accommodates the physically challenged with a ramp at its main entrance, there still is a need at least for elevators and bathroom renovation. The federal government requires the necessary improvements, however they may finally materialize, to be made by 1995, and a plan must be finalized by July 26th. Village trustee Todd Noble heads a committee looking at 4 renovation proposals.
A couple of weeks back, the New York State Supreme Court overturned the Mamaroneck Zoning Board's approval of a plan to build a 44-unit, 3-story apartment building at the long-vacant former Continental Manor site, just off the Post Road, not far from the House of Lights. However, the people who own the site are not giving up. They're quoted in the Daily Times saying they will not walk away, that they have a valuable piece of property there and plan to develop it. Besides, they say the village can use some new development. The Stewart Avenue Association has long fought the project, saying it would hurt the environment, especially the area along Guyan Creek and the adjacent marshlands. Rita?
Rhinebeck is still searching for a new school superintendent, and for details and an interview, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Ed Stien.
My guest here is Miles Federman, a Rhinebeck Board of Education member for 7 years now, and on June 30th, his term comes to an end. I wonder, Miles, over that period of time, did you see a lot of change, a little change in Rhinebeck schools?
Well, Ed, I've seen quite a bit of change. first year that I was on there, we had a superintendent and members of the board that were keyed into things that I wasn't even aware of. My eldest son was in first grade at the time, and I was just getting a feel for the district. But as the years progressed, budgets started to get defeated, and there was a lot of dissatisfaction in the community, and people were coming up to me as I was running for re-election or election initially and campaigning, and talking to me about all the things that needed correction.
So how does that turned around?
Well, that's turned around with probably the most singular, best thing or most important thing a board member can do, and that is the search and finally the vote for a new superintendent of schools. 3 years ago, we reached out and selected Dr. Frank Tassone as our superintendent, and through his hard work and also his creative ability to get new administrators into the district, we've turned things around tremendously.
Mm-hmm. And now his term is coming to an end. So what is going to happen by June 30th?
Regrettably, his term is coming to an end. That was a shock to all board members and I'm sure most of the community. What we've done is we've undertaken another search. It's an expedited search. Instead of taking the normal 6 months to 9 months, we've compacted this into about 3.5 months. We are well along in the search process.
And when do you hope to have?
We hope to have this completed by June 30th.
Okay.
If not, then it will probably be very soon after that date. But we hope to narrow the field down and interview somewhere between 4 to 6 candidates and probably come to closure on this before the end of the month.
All right.
Last week there was a shooting near the Mamaroneck train station on Halstead Avenue. Raul Casas, 29 years old, of Cedar Street in Mamaroneck, was shot in the leg near the Paramount taxi. Casas was wounded from a shotgun blast during a dispute over a woman and some money, according to police. Damon Romanelli is accused of shooting Casas. He works at the Station Stop convenience store and is currently being held at the Westchester County Jail. Raul Casas is said to be in good condition at the New York University Medical Center in Manhattan.
Roger, breaking the noise barrier, some area residents are angry about the noise and I-95 traffic. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Jamie Stien has more with an interview.
People near Fenimore Road and I-95 are organizing noise barriers. On the phone with me now is Bud Colangelo, who is a resident on Baldwin Place, who is making noise about the noise. Mr. Colangelo, what are your concerns pertaining to the noise barriers?
Pardon me, I cannot hear you clearly.
What are your concerns pertaining to the noise barriers?
The noise barriers, that's very simple. What they did is they expanded the highway, they took down the trees, and we hear all the noise from the highway. When the trucks and cars backfire at night, it's like somebody's getting shot. We can't keep our windows open. And basically the sound is disturbance to the whole entire area. And then after reading in the papers that they're going to put sound barriers at the duck pond, and they're going to leave us out, and they gave us a number 19 priority, we started a Baldwin Place Association with a Clara Tracy as president, Jay Solomon as vice president, and Lawrence Ning as secretary-treasurer, and we have all the neighbors out there, and we invited all the political people to come to our homes, listen to the noise, and I just resent the idea of being a taxpayer and paying a heavy tax, and I have to worry about ducks. It's ridiculous. And that's the way Mr. Tucci phrased it in the newspaper. The duck pond comes first. And I can't see why a duck pond should have priority over taxpayers and homeowners and people who can't sleep at night.
Now, Mr. Conjo, the organization that has been formed to fight the noise, do you feel there's any satisfaction? Do you think you'll win?
Well, we're going to try our darndest because we've been invited to the newspaper, and you people are also welcome to come to any of our meetings. You are welcome to the tapes that have been made so you can listen to the noise.
Where are the meetings?
It's in the Mamaroneck town. The next meeting is on the 12th Senator Oppenheimer is supposed to be there, and Tucci is supposed to be there. They will be there. They confirmed that they will be there on the 12th.
Lorenzen Park near Tony's nursery is a lot drier these days thanks to the New York Jets. For more on the story, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Chris Williams.
Lorenzen Field, formerly the plague of players and coaches alike because of its waterlogged conditions, has been rescued by hard work, new design, and a donation from the New York Jets. The village resloped the entire baseball field. Now water settles in a hole behind home plate where it is absorbed and dispersed. According to the Daily News, village engineer Joseph Morgan said, "The field was pitched in the wrong direction. We built up the areas around the field." And the Jets donated a huge tarp which covers the field whenever it rains. And it's already saved the day. When a storm hit last week, the tarp was rolled out and the game was delayed, but started half an hour later. Just goes to show what hard work, ingenuity, and plain old-fashioned kindness will do.
Last fall, Mamaroneck town officials reported a new record of $1.1 million in unpaid taxes, and at that time announced a crackdown on its 13 top offenders. Well, the town has since collected $600,000 and heard from 11 of the 13 in question. Mamaroneck Town Attorney Steven Silverberg was quoted as saying that the delinquent taxpayers can generally be divided into two groups: those having financial troubles and older people who, for whatever reason, are not paying their bills. It would seem that the financially troubled group are refinancing thanks to the lower interest rates, and the elderly are beginning to be helped by family members. It should be known that the town is not interested in foreclosing on properties and really just wants to be paid what they're owed. If you're late on your taxes, talk it over with your town officials, and they are willing to listen. Roger.
So you may have thought that April 15th was the only tax deadline to be concerned about. It probably is for most of you, but a good number of our viewers, another deadline is nearly upon you. For an explanation, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News financial fact reporter, Randi Norum.
It's that time of year again. Monday, June 15th is the deadline for the quarterly installment of your individual estimated income tax payment for 1992. You only need to make this payment if you estimated your tax liability to be more than $500. If you neglect to make your estimated payment on time, or if you do not pay enough, the IRS might have you paying some hefty penalties. Contact an accountant if you need help. That's your financial fact for this week. For LMC-TV News, I'm Randi Norum.
Louis Santoro, I understand we're about to, well, it won't be long before the town of Mamaroneck has its new fire pumper. Could you tell us about it?
Yes, what we're purchasing is a new fire pumper. The bid was awarded this past Wednesday night from the town board to Suffin Fire Apparatus out of Ohio. It's a 1992 pumper, 10-man cab, and a 1,250-gallon pump, 500-gallon tank.
And how expensive was it?
The bid came in at approximately $178,000, which is a lot lower than we anticipated.
Now, why did the town need this new apparatus?
The apparatus it is replacing is a 1957 American Oil France pumper that's, over the course of the years, fought many fires in the town of Mamaroneck and the surrounding communities, and it served the residents well and the fire department well, and because of problems of tank problems and brake problems and steering problems, the truck is in retirement right now.
Now, since this is a 1992 model, I imagine it also has all the latest bells and whistles, and could you describe it a bit? What makes it unique?
What it is, it's a custom cab that has a capability of transporting 10 to 12 firemen in an enclosed cab, which is the law that just came out this past year, where no fireman can respond on the truck, on the outside of the truck, on the side or the rear step of the truck. Everything has to be enclosed for insurance purposes.
And, of course, anyone in the, whether it's Larchmont or Mamaroneck Village or the communities, certainly surrounding communities, are glad to see Mamaroneck Town get something like this.
Yes, and that puts us back up to our quota, which is 3 pumpers and ladder trucks.
For most of us, English is our first language, but there are a lot of young people out there, English is their second language. Well, some students at Mamaroneck High School have started a program to teach English to these students who really need the help. Janice Aronow has more on that story.
On a previous news show, Monique Citron introduced us to the Amigos program and its founder, Mamaroneck High School sophomore Vanessa Acevedo. The Amigos is a tutorial program designed to help Hispanic elementary students who speak little or no English. The Amigos program, which is sponsored by the Mamaroneck Board of Education, seems to be a success and the community is beginning to take notice. The Westchester United to Serve America honored the Amigos program founder, Vanessa Acevedo, for establishing and coordinating the program. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Janice Aronow.
It takes a tender touch to make it in the Larchmont Mamaroneck business environment, and there is a new effort at business. It's hoping for good health, good food, and good business in the Village Square Shopping Center.
This is Roger Norum for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. A new business has come to roost in Mamaroneck Town along the Boston Post Road in the Village Square Shopping Center, across from Nathan's, next to Don Emilio's, and sandwiched next also to Domino's Pizza. In the Village Square Shopping Plaza, America's Chicken has nested itself in this location, and it's having its grand opening with a lot of coupons in the paper and special promotions as you enter. And co-owner Andy Friedman says his business is healthy.
America's Chicken was conceived by Jack Friedman about 2 or 3 years ago to try an alternative to just fried chicken. We gear it toward health. We like to give everybody a choice of food. We use brown rice, rice pilaf, fresh fruit. Our chicken is, we use a Monterey rotisserie chicken. We have a skinless grilled chicken for people who are watching their cholesterol. We also have a whole wheat batter, fried chicken and cholesterol-free oil, and we really try to gear toward the health-conscious consumer who's worried about their cholesterol and weight.
Is Jack Friedman any relation to Andy Friedman?
No relation at all.
No relation. And I understand your partner used to be at a business that is closing down the road.
That's correct. My partner is Alan Hand from Service Star Home Fare, who has been a frustrated chef for many years and is finally coming into what he really wants to do now, and very excited about America's Chicken.
And I see by another sign in the window here that you're looking for drivers. You're going to have delivery, home delivery?
That's correct. We're currently trying not only to make it convenient for the consumer to come in with our displays and so forth, but we also want to bring the food to those individuals who we know work. Both parents work and they come home, they have to take care of the kids, they can't always go out, so we want to bring this good food to every household in the Larchmont Mamaroneck area.
It's a welcome sight for the businesses already here, bringing a lot more foot traffic to this often forgotten mini shopping mall, and it won't be long before a new bagel shop opens here. About the only people probably not too thrilled to see America's Chicken coming to the town of Mamaroneck, a place called Kentucky Fried, just down the road about a quarter mile as the hen flies. And as America's Chicken celebrates its grand opening here, the new owners at this location hope their business doesn't lay an egg. This is Roger Norum for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
Thanks to Joe Chamberlin for shooting the location video for that report.
It's that time of the year that you are likely to hear the sound of Carnival and Festa near St. Vito's in Mamaroneck. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Jamie Stien has details.
On June 12th, 13th, and 14th, and the following weekend, June 19th, 20th, and Father's Day, June 21st, the Church of St. Vito's in Mamaroneck is holding its annual St. Vito's Bazaar. There will be nightly raffles, and instead of a car, the main raffle this year will be for a $10,000 cash prize. Ooh! Of course there will be booths of chance and rides for the kids, but for me and most of the people here at LMC News, the real reason for attending the St. Vito's Bazaar is the food. Homemade Italian good food. Guaranteed good times for the whole family. Don't worry, you can always start that diet after the bazaar is over. Those dates again for the St. Vito's Bazaar are June 12th, 13th, and 14th, and the following weekend, June 19th, 20th, and 21st. On the 2 Sundays, June 14th and 21st, the St. Vito's Bazaar will begin at 2 in the afternoon and close at 11 p.m. The other nights, the bazaar will open from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. See you there. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Jamie Stien.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you've missed any portion of this news program, you can watch it again any morning, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. or weeknight, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. and at midnight.
Also, we're trying to circulate the word on when this news program is on, so pass the times on to your friends and neighbors in Larchmont and Mamaroneck. 10 a.m. in the morning and again at night, 7 and midnight.
Remember, too, that we're all a volunteer group putting this program together, and we can always use an extra volunteer to join in the fun. Stop by any Thursday night around 7:30 at the LMC-TV studio in the Palmer Avenue side of the Mamaroneck High School, up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs.
To find out more, call us at 381-5270. Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norum.
And I'm Rita Blockton.
The pavilion at Harbor Island opening just in time for summer.
And the special broom to make for pollution-free swimming is installed.
Reward offered to find the killer of David Lux.
Town residents being surveyed to find out what they think of town services.
A rabies attack in Mamaroneck.
Larchmont rules on peddlers inside village limits.
Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norum.
And I'm Sven Oehmer. Our top story?
Mamaroneck has just invested $34,000 in a Gunder boom with a 600-foot pollution screen, and it's just been installed at Johnston Beach. This huge screen contains a fabric wall that will separate the whole swimming area from the rest of Mamaroneck Harbor, keeping out floating garbage and pollutants that carry the bacteria. The boom was purchased by Echo Boom Incorporated of Seacliff, New York, and they've tried the boom on their beach, and it's worked and kept the beach open and more people swimming. Al Croce, Mamaroneck's recreation superintendent, is optimistic.
So with the closing of the Hummocks Pool and this eco boom in place, the beach pavilion being fixed up, you're probably expecting a boom time, so to speak, here at Harbor Island Beach?
That's great. That's a great thing. Yes, we are expecting an influx of people coming back to the beach. And as you said, with the Hummocks Pool closed, we've made an agreement with the town of Mamaroneck that any town of Mamaroneck resident or Village of Larchmont resident presently has a Hummocks Pool Pass can purchase their, redo their passes at the town of Mamaroneck offices for reduced rates.
All right, and now if a Mamaroneck Village resident wants to get a beach pass, it's $35 for the family?
$35 for a family, the $16.50 for an individual.
And for town residents, it's how much?
Town residents, it will be who have a Hummocks Pool Pass now. They have to have had one, had one that has expired this year or currently possessed one. It'll be $100 for a family, $50 for an individual, and non-resident Town of Mamaroneck Village Larchmont senior citizens who have those passes get half price.
Okay, this boom extends out about, it looks like about 150 feet out there, or?
It's a little bit further than that, Roger. It's about, we figure about 200 some odd feet out to the furthest point of the boom from the shoreline.
And how much of the shoreline is this, about 150, 200 feet?
It's 130 feet across, and about 200 some odd feet out.
So you say that this possibly could be extended if that proves to really be an effective device?
Yeah, I think that, of course, with the boom coming in this year, it's going to be an experimental thing. And certainly, if it lives up to all of our expectations and the reputation that it's enjoyed out in Seacliff, Long Island, down the line, I'm sure that the village manager, who was very instrumental in the boom, is very excited about it, and I think that we can approach the possibility of making it larger. Now that really is a basically easy task, because the way the boom is constructed, what we can do is cut the boom at one particular point and then have more material sewn on to make it larger, and then just re-sew it back together again and then just send it out.
But first things first, I guess, let's see how the season goes.
That's exactly what we're going to try to do, see how the season goes, see what kind of responses we get from the public. We have an informational thing that are going to go out to the people as they come onto the beach, explain a little bit about the echo boom and some of the rules and regulations regarding the echo boom.
And Mary Landrigan from the Westchester County Health Department is hopeful, though she says the department will be doing intensive water testing to check how the boom is doing. But the real moment of truth is what happens after a half-inch or more of rain, because it is the rainwater runoff that is the major source of pollutant. That is the test. Keep your fingers crossed.
It's officially open now, or I should say officially reopened. The Beach Pavilion here at Harbor Island Park in Mamaroneck Village. Saturday, the official ceremonies marking the event, but it was built during the Great Depression as a WPA project. It was closed nearly 3 years ago because it had fallen into disrepair, especially since attendance at the Harbor Island Beach plummeted. But this past winter, the Mamaroneck Village Board started moving to rehabilitate the Beach Pavilion, the project spearheaded by trustee Walter Rogers.
But this has been a joint effort between the volunteers and the village employees, and quite frankly, I can't say enough about the village employees. They did a terrific job on this beach pavilion, and I thank them all.
Speaking of village employees, the general foreman of the Public Works Department, William Casanova, you were in charge of the construction crews here. What were some of the bigger chores you had building or rebuilding the pavilion?
Well, starting from the beginning, more or less the basic demolition part of it was quite a task. The removal and the removal of the asbestos in the beginning, removal of all the debris and what have you. It's a pretty large building, so you can imagine the amount of stuff that came out of there.
And you'll still have construction crews working on here, even though the pavilion is technically open, but there's a lot of odds and ends work that still needs to be done?
Right, a little bit of fine-tuning, technical work, trim work, what have you.
Over the assistant engineer of the Village of Mamaroneck, Benny Salanitro.
Correct.
You were in charge of the administration. What did this cost the village?
Well, original estimates, I think, that came out a few years back were $250,000. The undertaking of this project with the cost savings of the labor, we're right now around $60,000, but a lot of work has gone into this, more than what was anticipated on the of the engineer's proposal a couple of years back. So we have a tremendous savings right now to the municipality, to the people who live here. Definitely. We worked with a very tight budget, and involved in that was a lot of running around. We were like homeowners with a checkbook. We went out there, we got prices on every little thing you could think of, the doors, the windows, the lumber. We made sure that what we spent, we got the best price for. So it's a very cost-conscious type of project, and not that we had carte blanche to do what we wanted to do. So I'm happy to say we worked out very well.
A lot of nuts and bolts there, and probably the man in charge of the nuts and bolts, Bill Magrino, and you're with the Department of Public Works as the Assistant General Foreman of this project. How does this compare to other public work projects you've done with the village?
Well, this is quite a project, and my job basically was to set up the work schedule of the personnel that was needed down on this job, whether it be inside or outside.
So, and also coordinate with the volunteers, or did the volunteers just show up and you had to find work for them, or what?
No, they pretty much, when the volunteers showed up, so these three gentlemen here and myself, you know, we just coordinated what work had to be done, what preferences had to be taken into consideration first and so forth. But I found it extremely well organized, and everybody just chipped in. There was no complaints about, oh, I don't want to do this or anything like that. It was great, really.
All these factors may just lead to the largest attendance here at Harbor Island Beach in years. Mamaroneck Village officials certainly hope so. This is Roger Norum for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
Residents in Mamaroneck Town may soon take part in a survey asking their opinions of services in the community. The Town Budget Advisory Committee, which was formed recently, is behind this plan. The committee's aim is to find out how the people feel about municipal services in Mamaroneck Town. A much clearer picture of the expectations and needs of the residents should evolve. The Town Budget Advisory Committee hopes that the results will open up ways to save your tax dollars and to use them in a more efficient way.
Although it's been open since January, the Mamaroneck Senior Citizens Housing Complex has now been officially dedicated. The project was financed by a $6.5 million 40-year mortgage issued by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD is also subsidizing $30 million in rent monies over the duration of the mortgage. 42 units are located in the complex on the old half-acre village parking lot near the Mamaroneck train station. Tenants contribute 30% of their incomes toward the rent. Sven?
Last spring, the Larchmont Board of Trustees passed a law preventing mobile vendors and door-to-door salesmen from commercial activities in the village unless the board approves such sales. 2 cases were recently decided. The village board approved the application for an ice cream truck to operate in the village, but in the case of Larchmont Village Cleaners, the request to be allowed to sell discount coupons door-to-door was denied.
The mother of David Laux is offering a $10,000 reward in hopes of finding the killer of her son. Mamaroneck police continue to search for the killer or killers of David Laux, the 52-year-old manager of the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club. He was found shot dead May 21st in his cottage on the club grounds. 2 .22 caliber bullets were fired into the side of his head. Police suspect that Laux knew his killer because there was no other sign of violence and jewelry and money in the cottage was not taken. Mrs. Eleanor Laux says she'll give $10,000 for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of her son's killer or killers. Anyone with information should call the Mamaroneck Village Police Detectives at 698-2400.
The wonder years and how to make those pre- and early teen years a little easier to cope for everyone. It's the subject of a new school program at the Homeworks Middle School. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News School reporter Monique Citron has the story.
Dealing with the strengths of adolescents, not their weaknesses, is how Calvert Schlick, Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, described the new program to launch next year, which will encourage the growth and maturity of children 10 to 13. A committee of 22, including parents and teachers, made the report at the last Board of Ed meeting of the year. The program will give kids at the Hummocks more choices and help them increase their communication with parents as well. Thanks to a $5,000 grant from Mamaroneck Village and $1,300 in private donations, 55th graders received their diplomas in the Drug Abuse Resistant Education Program at Mamaroneck Avenue School. Known as DARE, the 17-week program run by police officers instructs 5th graders in drug abuse prevention. The program, which began in L.A., taught techniques for saying no to drugs, to resisting peer pressure, and for building self-esteem. 85 Rhinex students also recently completed the course.
Thanks, Monique. We're just a matter of days away now from graduation, and congratulations to all the students and their parents for reaching this milestone of life. Sven?
Local 806 of the Civil Service Employees Association in Mamaroneck Village elected new leaders. The new president is Jeffrey Tomasetti. The new vice president is Tracy Schmalley. Geraldine Diamond was elected treasurer, and Jean Perron is the new secretary. All 4 local union leaders were elected for a 3-year term. During that term, the new team will have to negotiate a new contract with the village, as the current one will expire May 31st of next year. Roger?
A 66-year-old man told Larchmont police he was mugged last week near the Larchmont train station. The victim said his assailant was a man wearing a sweatsuit and came from behind, punched him in the head, and knocked him to the ground. Then he stole $20. The victim said the incident happened on Depot Way. Sven?
A special promotion is on at an area video store to serve parents in case the unthinkable happens. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Janice Aronow has the story.
Last year, LMC News reported that Blockbuster Video was offering a free videotape of your child. This month, they continue the service. Parents can bring in their own VHS tape, or they can buy one for $2 at the store. The idea behind this is safety. Should your child be lost or abducted, there is a VHS videotape that can be shown to the police and other agencies searching for your child. Blockbuster started the program nationwide together with the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Even though you think it would never happen to your child, 1.5 million children were reported missing in 1988.
Thanks, Janice. Accurate and updated information on the Commonwealth of Independent States, the former Soviet Union, is now available at 2 locations in our area. Thanks to a donation by the Larchmont League of Women Voters, Larchmont Public Library and Mamaroneck High School Library each have been supplied with a printed guide. Economic, ethnic and military issues and recent changes are discussed among other topics concerning the former Soviet Union.
Have you ever wondered how big a Social Security nest egg you're building with all that FICA money coming out of your paycheck? Well, our Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News financial facts reporter, Randi Norum, explains the how to find out. Randi?
Would you like to know what Social Security will pay you during your retirement years? After all, Social Security is a part of life. You have a right to know not only what your benefits will be, but also if you will be able to maintain or even come close to your current standard of living. The Social Security Administration will calculate your estimated benefits for you. Call the following number, 800-772-1213. Ask for Form 7004. After receiving the form, filling it out, and mailing it back, you should have the information within about 6 weeks. This will be a good start for planning your financial future. That's your financial fact for this week. For LMC Community News, I'm Randi Norum.
Thanks, Randi. A year after celebrating the centennial of St. John's Episcopal Church in Larchmont, Reverend George Zabriskie recently retired. Reverend Zabriskie took over at St. John's in 1977 and became a strong and visible pastor. Among the farewell gifts that he received during a ceremony at 4 Fountain Square was a rocking chair, which will make the trip to Reverend Zabriskie's new home in Vermont. Roger?
The Arts and a Special Arts Show is now on just off Mamaroneck Avenue in the village. Making her debut now on Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, our newest reporter, Julie DiRaimondo. She has the story.
Now through July 11th, the Mary Galleries at 133 East Prospect Avenue in Mamaroneck is holding its summer exhibition. Affectionately known as the Art Barn, it is a 200-year-old red building that has played host to many artists since its inception on June 6, 1966. This year's exhibition has something for everyone: painted furniture, bas relief, and wood sculpture, welded steel and painted sculpture, drawings, graphics, and mixed media works. Philip J. Cianci has several mixed media paintings on display. His mixed media paintings blend spray paintings, watercolors, oil, and acrylic paints together on one canvas. Mr. Cianci is trying something new by using presswood and plywood as his canvas. He uses the texture of the wood to accentuate and form his landscape. Other artists include Fernando Martinez, who creates furniture. Margaret Ryan has drawings and pastels. John Ruckshell works with spare parts to create some very imaginative welded steel sculptures. Sol Berliner has painted sculpture, and Barbara Grossman-Caro has bas-relief sculpture. Mildred Kay exhibits graphics. Jeremy Cummins' work is located in the Cave Room at the Mary Gallery and is featuring his current wooden sculptures. Jewelry, art clothing, hangings, glassware, ceramic objects, plus a variety of other crafts can be found on the upper level. The Mary Gallery is open Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 5 p.m. Their summer exhibition with its very affordable works of art will be on display now through July 11th.
This reminder to all area residents wanting good food and good fun. The second weekend of St. Vitus Festa and Bazaar is on this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And don't forget that $10,000 raffle at the St. Vitus Festa.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. And in case you missed any portion of this area news program, you can see it again any weekday morning, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. And also Monday through Friday nights at 7 p.m. and again at midnight.
Many viewers catch this local news program right after watching Rather, Brokaw, or Jennings. It will also help us a lot if you tell your friends and neighbors about this program.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and it's a fun community activity. Great way to give back. If you want to find out more or see how we do things to get this program on the air, drop by on a Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios. They're in the Palmer Avenue unit of Mamaroneck High School, just up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs. We try to get things started about 7:30, and we'd love to see you and just about any Thursday night you can make it. Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norum.
And I'm Sven Oehme. We'll see you again next time, right here on LMC TV, Channel 36. Have a great week.
Is the Mamaroneck Village Municipal Building not safe?
Mamaroneck firehouses are okayed for repairs.
A controversy about former trustee Beth Hofstetter.
The proposed law in Larchmont will stop vehicles from idling.
Skincare and tanning.
And beware of raccoons.
Welcome to this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Deborah Dorn.
And I'm Sven Oehme. Our top story: the 104-year-old municipal building in Mamaroneck Village is once again in the spotlight. The building houses the police department, the courtroom, and the court offices on its first floor. The latest incident that caused attention happened recently when a female prisoner was led from the police department lockup through the court offices to the courtroom. While in the court offices area, the prisoner coughed and spat into a napkin, which she then threw into a wastebasket. Rumors spread quickly among the employees that the female prisoner was infected with tuberculosis. The employees left their offices immediately. This incident only highlighted the working conditions in the municipal building. According to the Daily Times, village manager Matthew Galligan said that the building has numerous safety violations and that resolving the situation has high priority.
Mamaroneck's Pure Food site, now vacant, may finally be developed. The nation's largest developer of rental housing, Trammell Crow Residential, has proposed an $18 million project consisting of 138 one- and two-bedroom apartments. The property is located at 746 Mamaroneck Avenue, a 2.3-acre site. Mayor Noto, Trustee Lanza, and village manager Matthew Galligan visited one of the firm's projects, a 215-unit rental community in Stamford, Connecticut. That site was 99% leased within 4 months. The village officials are hoping the same success for the Mamaroneck site. If built, the apartments would rent from between $1,200 and $1,600. The complex would include indoor parking, a swimming pool, and tennis courts. The sale is contingent on Trammell's obtaining financing and zoning approvals.
Westchester County's fire coordinator Paul Crystal is looking at redrawing fire districts in an attempt to better serve the communities. The discussion was started by incidents similar to one that happened earlier this year in the area of Mamaroneck Town between New Rochelle and Larchmont. During a recent fire, both the departments from New Rochelle and from Larchmont declined to come because the fire was outside their district. Though each, the Larchmont and the New Rochelle Fire Department, could have reached the fire in a short time, the homeowner had to wait for the Mamaroneck fire truck to arrive. Coordinator Crystal wants to put an end to this by making sure that residents are served effectively and that they don't have to fear for their property. Debbie?
The 5 firehouses in Mamaroneck are finally getting a facelift. At their Monday meeting, the Board of Trustees approved a plan to spend approximately $40,000 on repairs to the firehouses. Some of the problems include ceiling leaks, roof repair, floor repair, and several dozen other items. Mayor Noto stated that he would like to keep the cost under $40,000 and that a lot of the work could be done by Public Works employees. Trustee Rogers indicated that he did not want to see any building deteriorate as the Beach Pavilion did, which was closed since October 1989.
There have been some complaints recently about the collection of garbage in Mamaroneck Town. Large Mamaroneck community news reporter Joe Chamberlin looks into this messy subject. Joe?
Current garbage collection practice and the end of same were discussed at a forum of residents and municipal officials. The meeting was sponsored by the Council of Neighborhood Associations of Larchmont and the town of Mamaroneck. Most vocal was resident Ned Ryan, who complained of sanitation workers who do spotty work and don't work a full 8-hour day. Stephen Altieri, who is a town administrator and is in charge of the town's sanitation department, fended off Ryan's complaints by saying that worker performance has improved and that without coffee or lunch breaks, it is reasonable and efficient to release workers before 8 hours have elapsed. At any rate, whether current practices leave something to be desired or not, recycling is the order of the day. As of September 1st, metal, plastic, and glass will go in one can or bag, and other refuse will be placed in other cans or bags. As to how and when garbage and recyclables will be collected has not been determined because Westchester County and the 2 towns do not yet have a coordinated plan.
Thanks, Joe.
The school year is about to end, but there is no end to school news. Here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community School News reporter Monique Citron with the latest report on our schools.
Rhinebeck Junior High is getting a new principal at last. Paul Siragusa, who is presently the assistant principal at Tuckahoe High, has been tapped to head the 300-student middle school. He was chosen for the $74,000 post from a field of 70 candidates. Siragusa, whose background is in special ed, lives with his wife Maria and 2 daughters in Yonkers. 10 candidates have been under review for the job of superintendent in Rhinebeck. 5 are starting final interviews now, with a candidate to be chosen in mid-July. George Holub, supervisor of health, physical education, and athletics, is retiring after 36 years at Mamaroneck to pursue some golf, swimming, and sailing. Holub, who received high marks for putting the kids first, as well as many impressive championships over the years, will be succeeded by Richard Amundsen, a 37-year-old health fitness educator from Monroe County. He is a triathlete, by the way, and he and his wife Diane have 2 children. With graduation and the prom this week, everyone here at LMC want to extend our congratulations to all the students, teachers, and parents who made it through. And with thoughts of lessons turning to thoughts of lemonade, we wish you all a wonderful summer.
Mamaroneck Town Board decided to hire a Long Island company to oversee construction of the Larchmont Motel Affordable Housing Complex. The Tri-Tech Group will begin work immediately, reviewing the plans to ensure the most cost-effective way to build the housing. Town Administrator Steve Altieri felt a large firm with a large staff would best be able to monitor the project. The 24-year-old company has worked on many large projects, including the Jacob Javits Convention Center in New York. Officials estimate the firm will be paid between $300,000 and $360,000 for their services. The purpose of the project is to build affordable apartments for town volunteers, teachers, and others who provide valuable services to the town.
In keeping with the long tradition, 31 volunteers in Mamaroneck Village who served on the various boards and commissions were awarded a plaque to demonstrate the appreciation of their work by the community. But one person was missing at the ceremony honoring the 31 volunteers, former Democratic trustee Bess Hofstetter. Republican Mayor Paul Noto refused to give the plaque to Bess Hofstetter because she did not pay $500. The link between the $500 and the plaque, according to Mayor Noto, is a pledge by the village trustees last year to donate 10% of their annual stipend of $5,000 to the village. Hofstetter has not yet paid her $500 and therefore was excluded from receiving the plaque for the time being.
Just in time for the summer season, the Johnson Beach Pavilion opened. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Ed Stien tells us more about it.
It's sad when a structure that has a history behind it is left in dilapidated condition and finally closed down because it's a public hazard. It's heartening to see such a structure refurbished and brought back to life and put to use for the public to appreciate and enjoy. Such is the story of Mamaroneck's Beach Pavilion, the stone structure that was built back in the 30s during the Great Depression as a public works project. However, 2.5 years ago, the pavilion was shut down because its rundown condition was unsafe. And now, with its restoration, it just reopened in a celebration that befits a village, a ribbon-cutting ceremony, with thanks all around going to Walter Rogers, the village trustee who spearheaded the makeover of the pavilion, to the village for allocating the $50,000 for the repairs, and finally to the workers, craftsmen, and volunteers who installed the new roof, doors, and windows, who fixed and updated the plumbing fixtures and gave it a fresh coat of paint. To all of you who took part, stand up and take a bow.
Thanks, Ed. And thanks to Debbie Slansky, who provided us with the tape.
A proposed two-lot subdivision at Arrowhead Lane, just off Weaver Street and near the Larchmont Reservoir, is causing quite a stir in Mamaroneck Town. On the one side is Robert DeForio, who wants to subdivide his lot. On the other side, citizens and environmental groups who fear that trees will be cut down, that flooding might result due to the construction, and that the reservoir may be polluted by runoff surface water. Between the two, DeForio and the citizens groups, is the town planning board. The board is trying to balance the different concerns, and it seems to be very likely that a compromise will be achieved. Debbie?
One of the most exciting events of the summer is coming up in the village of Mamaroneck, the Fireman's Carnival. Who better than Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Jamie Stien to tell us what's going to happen this year? Jamie?
Starting on Friday, June 26th, the annual Fireman's Carnival will take place at Harbor Island Park. This year, there is sure to be fun in store with rides for adults and kiddies, games, prizes, delicious foods, and the big raffle with a top prize of $5,000. Ooh. And yes, LMC-TV will be there once again, right in the middle of it, and why not stop by and say hello, and maybe you could be on TV. Oh, and let's not forget the traditional one-of-a-kind Fireman's Parade to be held Tuesday, June 30th at 7 p.m. Be sure to get your seats early in the village on Mamaroneck Avenue. It gets awfully crowded pretty fast. So make sure to mark your calendar. Friday, June 26th, the carnival begins. The parade, Tuesday, June 30th, and it all wraps up with the fireworks display on, you guessed it, the 4th of July. This carnival promises to be fun-filled, so don't miss it. Hope to see you there. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Jamie Stien.
Thanks, Jamie. Last week, the Mamaroneck Village Board approved almost $800,000 for a number of improvements in the village over the next couple of months. Potholes will be filled, sidewalks will be checked for cracks and repaired, the sewer system will be inspected and improved, and there will be new and additional sand for the Harbor Island beach.
Larchmont tennis buffs should have something to smile about, or at least their knees should. The Larchmont Board of Trustees agreed to pad 6 Flint Park tennis courts in early August. Previously, $35,000 was budgeted for resurfacing, not padding, all 9 courts at Flint Park. The funds were redistributed to upgrade 6 of the courts with padding and resurfacing. The new surface will absorb shock, so that which can eventually tear ligaments and tendons. The proposed repair of the 3 newer courts has been postponed.
Be careful near wild animals. Now that we spend more time outside, we have to be very careful about animals carrying the rabies virus. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Julie DiRaimondo has the story about a recent incident.
A couple of weeks back, an 88-year-old Mamaroneck woman was bitten by a raccoon that tested positive for rabies. Police killed the raccoon shortly after the attack outside the woman's West Street home. The woman is undergoing treatment for rabies infection, which includes getting 5 vaccines. The number of rabid animals in Westchester has been climbing the past year. Since April of '91, 53 animals in Westchester County have tested positive for rabies. The human factor? Last year, 114 people had to be vaccinated to combat the rabies. And so far this year, the total is 112. If you want to vaccinate your household pet, check with your vet, or the next low-cost rabies clinic sponsored by the County Health Department is June 27th. Shots will be $10 each. To find out more, call the Westchester County Health Department at 593-5043 and make an appointment. Incidentally, if you see a wild animal acting strangely or find it to be particularly aggressive, call your police department and report it to them.
Thanks, Julie. And just the other day, a big scare for a Larchmont family in the middle of the night. A raccoon fell through a screen on a skylight at 2:45 in the morning. The raccoon raced to one of the bedrooms, created a big mess, but luckily no one was injured. Before someone from the Humane Society arrived, the raccoon escaped through an open window. So again, be careful.
Larchmont drivers take notice. The Board of Trustees proposed a law prohibiting idling vehicles on Larchmont streets. Their aim is to curtail air pollution created by car and bus fumes. Village Attorney James Stout was instructed to investigate how the law could be applied to both private and commercial vehicles. The proposal will be discussed again at the board's July 21st public meeting, and in order for the law to take effect, a public hearing must be held.
The Mamaroneck Historical Society recently honored the village's historian Mary LeJudas for her endless work looking into the history of Mamaroneck. LeJudas was honored at a ceremony at Rye Golf Club. Debbie Slansky was there, and you're looking at some of the scenes that she picked up.
It's finally summer, and despite the dangers of exposure to the sun, most of us like to be tanned. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Julie DiRaimondo talks to an expert on skin care.
2 weeks back, a member of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News crew walked into the studio like Frankenstein. No, she wasn't doing an impression of Night of the Living Dead. She had sunburn. This poor suffering child was soon hit with a barrage of surefire treatments and things to do the next time that would protect her and keep her from walking like a zombie. So in an effort to set the record straight and possibly save a few more misguided souls from burning themselves to a crisp, I hope my daughters are listening, we are very pleased to have with us in our studio dermatologist Elizabeth Rosenthal. Welcome to LMC News.
Thank you.
You know, the sun feels so good on us, and most of us think we look really good with a tan. Why is it that everything that's so good is so bad? What's wrong with the sun? What does it do?
Well, it feels good, and you look good for a while, but after years of sun exposure, it really beats up on your skin something terrible. I mean, it destroys the elastic tissue in your skin. It makes you look prematurely old. It probably does something with immune regulation in your skin, and that's maybe why you get skin cancer eventually if you have too much sun. So it does a lot of bad things.
But all of these skin blocks, what is the lowdown on that? I've always heard that 15 was the maximum, but I went into the store and I saw 30, 45. What's the difference?
Well, actually, there isn't that much difference. There's a big difference between below 15 and 15. But 15, an SPF of 15, a sun protective factor, actually blocks out about 94% of UV light. 30 may do 95%. So once you're up to 15, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference if it's a little higher. Also, the sunscreens don't usually stay on that long. That's going to make a big difference between a 15 and a 30. So I wouldn't spend my money on something higher than 15. It's not really necessary.
Well, what about if you have fair skin as opposed to darker skin? Does it,
okay,
help to have a higher number SPF?
Yes, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to not burn, then if you have dark skin, it's not that hard to do that. If you have light skin, you have to use at least a 15. If you're trying to just cut down on your overall lifetime sun exposure, which is really what you have to do to prevent all the damage, you could have really never have a sunburn your whole life and still have really beat up, prematurely aged skin when you get older if you get a lot of sun exposure, even if you never burn.
Well, just one thing more very briefly. The tanning lotions that you don't need the sun, is that detrimental at all to your skin?
No, it's dye. It basically dyes your skin. It looks kind of orange after a while.
Oh, it does? Oh, I
but
thought
it's
that
not
would be the
dangerous.
solution.
It just doesn't look so great.
Thanks, Julie.
Hardly ever a news show without talk about taxes. Mamaroneck Town is stepping up efforts to collect unpaid tax dollars. The total amount of uncollected taxes in the town for 1991, $775,000. If you have a problem paying your taxes, talk to the receiver of taxes. There may be ways to finance your payments. It may come cheaper than the 12% annual late penalty that the town will add on top of your tax bill. On the bright side, two businesses on Boston Post Road and Mamaroneck Village received substantial property tax refunds totaling $36,000 over a 6-year period in the case of China Lion Restaurant and over a 5-year period for WBP, Associates, owner of a shopping mall.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, your neighborhood news program on Channel 36.
And because it's a neighborhood news program, we'd like to get you involved. We're all volunteers here, and it's no secret we have a lot of fun putting this show together.
If you'd like to join us, come by the studio just up the stairs from Walter's Hot Dog Stand in the Palmer Avenue building of Mamaroneck High School. We meet here every Thursday night at about 7.
If you missed a part of this show, you can catch it every weekday at 10 in the morning and in the evening at 7 and at 12. And every Saturday morning at 10, you can catch the new show.
Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Dorn.
And I'm Sven Oehmer. We'll see you next week.
Greg DeFalco reaches a plea bargain in the Karen Petrillo hit-and-run case.
Village police seem to have few, if any, leads in the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club murder.
Mamaroneck Town comes to grips with a new recycling law. We'll tell you what we know so far.
The Fireman's Carnival is underway. We'll tell you where and when to go.
And some good news about coping with vandalism.
Hello and welcome to Larchmont Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Bill Littauer. Our top story. 26-year-old Gregory DeFalco has agreed to a plea bargain in the hit-and-run death of 15-year-old Rhineck High School student Karen Petrillo. DeFalco's attorney, Anthony Keogh, says DeFalco has agreed to plead guilty to the top count of second-degree manslaughter. He's expected to be sentenced in August to 6 months in jail and a term of probation. Police had charged that DeFalco of Heathcote Avenue in Mamaroneck was drunk when he hit the teenager October 5th. She was crossing the post road at Keeler Avenue. DeFalco was an assistant football coach at Rhineck at the time of the accident. Sven?
Mamaroneck Village Police are apparently still looking for some kind of a break that will help them solve the David Laux murder. They're asking anyone who might have seen anything, even something that might seem remote, to call them. The number is 698-2400. Laux was the manager of the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club. He was found dead in the cottage on the grounds of the club May 21st. He had been shot twice in the head. Although his mother has offered a $10,000 reward, police say no one has come forward with information so far. Police believe Laux knew his killer and admitted him into the house. They say the contents of the house were not disturbed, so robbery was probably not the motive.
The selection process continues for a Rhineck school superintendent. The Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Ed Stien says the decision may all but be made already.
The countdown continues in Rhineck in the search to find a new superintendent of schools to replace Dr. Frank Tassone, who is leaving at the end of June. And it's down to the final 3 candidates. We've just learned that one of the candidates is Rhineck's assistant superintendent, Peter Mustick, the very same person Dr. Frank Tassone had recommended as his successor before the whole search began. The other 2 administrators from outside the district are a man and a woman, both described as, quote-unquote, strong candidates. Meantime, Board of Education President Beatrice Sarasoli has announced to the Daily Times, "We cannot have someone permanent to take over by July 1st. It's just not possible." So she and the rest of the board members are prepared to name an interim superintendent, and that person will take charge on July 1st and will carry the ball until the so-called best candidate is hired for the superintendent's position. The chairpersons of each of the several advisory committees are making their recommendations to the board members very shortly, and then the board members themselves make the final decision.
The Mamaroneck Village Police Force and the village took a pay dispute to arbitration, but the result does not satisfy the police. The arbitrator ruled that the village has to pay the 46 members of the police department interest on 1 day's pay. The whole problem was created when a change in the accounting procedure had the police officers work more time than they were actually paid for. The attorney for the Police Benevolent Association was quoted in the Daily Times saying, "We're a little disappointed. There is the possibility of more legal proceedings." Bill?
The Mamaroneck Town Board is trying to come to grips with the garbage recycling problem and at the same time figure out how to hold down taxes. And we discussed those issues with Council Member Kathleen Tracy O'Flynn. Kathleen, how can the town hold down taxes and be increasing services or costs going up?
Well, there are a number of things that the town can do. One of the things that I'm involved in right now, I'm part of a subcommittee to look into ways in which we can finance the renovation and the expansion of the library. As you may know, the library in town, the Larchmont Library, is shared by the village residents as well as residents of the unincorporated area. We share the operating expenses, and we'll be sharing the cost of the renovation along with the monies that are raised from the library.
So this is really cost sharing among various jurisdictions.
That's right.
And similar services.
That's right.
How is the library going, by the way? Are we going forward?
Yes, we will be going forward. It was just a matter of putting an agreement together, and hopefully we'll have everyone in agreement on that shortly.
Now, one of the new problems that's coming up is recycling. What has the town board decided to do about this?
Well, we spent a lot of time investigating the method in which we can pick up recyclables. We will be having a hearing next month, I believe it is on the 22nd of July, where we will introduce the law. The law, however, does not give the specifics as to how we're going to pick up the recyclables, but what it will do is put in place a requirement that people do have to separate their recyclables from their non-recyclables, and it will have penalties if it's not done. It will also require screening for dumpsters at commercial establishments and multifamily dwelling units.
That's Mamaroneck Town Council member Kathleen Tracy O'Flynn. Town residents have another option to replace the Homick's pool, since the pool will be out of commission for the summer while school officials figure out how to fix the loose floor tiles. The village of Mamaroneck has cut its fee in half for town residents at Johnston Beach at Harbor Island. And the rates are $100 for a family, $50 for an individual, and $25 for a senior. Season permits are available only at the town center, and proof of residency is required. Stien?
The Washington Housing Alliance received a grant from two banks. Janice Aronow has the story.
Mamaroneck's Washingtonville Housing Alliance was among a dozen groups to benefit from the generosity of Chemical and Chase Manhattan banks. The Alliance, which is nonprofit, is getting $5,000 from Chemical Bank. There will be a $500 grant from Chase Manhattan. For more than a decade, Washingtonville Housing Alliance has built and rehabilitated housing in Mamaroneck for low and moderate income families.
Thanks, Janice. The Reader's Digest Foundation has made a grant of $75,000 to Westchester Putnam Special Olympics. The money is targeted to help students with development disabilities. Some of the $75,000 will go to the Mamaroneck School District. The grant will enable students to train and participate in the Special Olympics, where they compete in ball games, swimming, and track and field. Bill?
Westchester County's first Habitat for Humanity home is ready for its new owners. We get that story now from Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joyce Sutherland.
Mamaroneck volunteer fireman Jim Cunningham and his family are ready to move into their new home. It was scheduled for dedication Saturday. The home was the culmination of years of planning and months of construction by some 150 volunteers of the Habitat for Humanity program, the same program that former President Jimmy Carter works for. This home at Laurel Avenue and Weaver Street was built on a quarter-acre provided by Westchester County and the town of Mamaroneck. The Cunninghams became eligible for the house by doing volunteer work for Habitat in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and by working 500 hours to build this home. An architect donated the design, and the volunteers built it with donated materials. Good luck to the happy Cunningham family.
Thanks, Joyce. It must be a happy time for the Cunninghams. Stien?
A regional supermarket chain is relocating its headquarters to Mamaroneck Town. D'Agostino, which operates about 25 stores in New York City and in Westchester, has purchased a 3-year-old but empty office building on Boston Post Road. That's right next to the International House of Pancakes. What makes Mamaroneck Town officials happy saddens the New Rochelle's administration. Before coming to Mamaroneck, D'Agostino's offices were located in New Rochelle on Palmer Avenue. Maybe we'll also see a D'Agostino store open up in our area in the future. Bill?
It's the kind of news we like to hear about. Someone who just goes out and takes care of our community property. No recognition asked and none expected. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin has that story.
I, for one, don't know the underlying psychological reasons behind vandalism. But Larchmont's Manor Park is occasionally struck by vandals. Specifically, the umbrella at Manor Park has been repeatedly targeted. Fortunately, a good spirit, contractor Carl Pierleone, has come to the rescue, again. Pierleone has repaired the 106-year-old umbrella 3 times since 1988. I agree with Pierleone that it's a shame that someone would create the damage. But in my mind, the act of goodness in replacing the missing shingles on the landmark far outweighs the harm done. There have been other anonymous Good Samaritans doing such good deeds as replacing a stolen weather vane and replacing a vandalized Bradford pear tree that was planted as a memorial. These good citizens of the community all deserve our thanks and 3 cheers.
Fireman's Carnival is on this week in Mamaroneck. The newest member of our news crew, Nadia Jemiai, has the details of what is happening down in Harbor Island Park. Nadia?
The good times are rolling this week at Harbor Island. It's the 45th Annual Volunteer Fireman's Carnival. The entertainment includes games of skill, rides, and fireworks on Saturday, the 4th. Of course, there are also hot dogs, hamburgers, steak, and pepper wedges, and lots more to eat. The festivities begin at 7:15 each evening. Money from the carnival goes towards scholarships from Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck students and for donation to sports leagues, Meals on Wheels, and the United Way.
Thanks, Nadia, and welcome to our team.
It has happened to all of us. You want to know what's going on LMC-TV's Channel 35 and 36, but you lost the schedule. Well, now there's a new service, and Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Television Production Coordinator Mike Kachi tells us about the details. Mike?
Keeping in sync with LMC-TV is now as easy as 381-3333. That's the phone number for LMC-TV's Phone Direct. Phone Direct gives you up-to-date programming information for Channel 35 and Channel 36. Also available by dialing 381-3333 is news and information about LMC-TV's events and classes. It costs no more than a regular phone call, and you can reach it 24 hours a day. But keep in mind, you must use a touch-tone phone.
This coming fall, Mamaroneck Town wants to conduct an inventory of all the trees in the town's right-of-way. The purpose of the project is to know the number, the condition, the species, and the location of the trees so that they can be better taken care of. Anyone interested in assisting the count, which has to be done by volunteers, will be most welcome. Mamaroneck's Town Council member Kathleen Tracy O'Flynn explains why the tree count is so important for our community.
The survey will tell us a number of things. In addition to just telling us the number of trees that we have in town, it will tell us the condition of the trees, their health. It'll tell us their location. It will tell us what sort of species we have, the variety of species. You can't rely on any one species because if there is a blight, you'll find yourself losing a good number of species. So we look towards developing a good variety. It will help us in the end to develop a good maintenance and planting program as well as a program for removal of diseased trees where pruning is not sufficient.
So the town will have to plant a lot more trees pretty soon, you think?
We will, but this will give us a better way of planning for it, and it will improve our current program. What we're doing right now is replacing those trees that have to be removed due to disease or some other problem, and planting some additional trees. But we really don't know without taking a survey whether we're planting enough.
We'll let you know on our news show when the date for the tree count is set so that you can take part in it. Bill?
The Westchester Joint Waterworks is looking for 60 volunteers in Mamaroneck and Harrison who would like to participate in a test of their water. Under mandatory U.S. Environmental Protection Agency rules, the Waterworks has to test the water from its customers for lead and copper contamination. The test only requires the homeowner to collect the water sample. There are no costs involved, and if you take part in the test, you'll be supplied with the test results from your sample. If you're interested, call the Westchester Joint Waterworks at 698-3500.
Rhinebeck High School held its graduation ceremony last week. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Jemiai Stien was there.
I'm standing at the Rhinebeck graduation, and let's take a look.
Hello, give us a smile, look. See that?
Clubs and activities, including the dramatic presentation, Coma just said, necessarily assure progress.
I feel so old. Congratulations to all the graduates of the class of 1992, and for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, standing at the Rhinebeck graduation, I'm Janice.
It was graduation day at Mamaroneck High School last Tuesday. 257 seniors earned their diplomas. The valedictorian was 17-year-old Wendy Seltzer with a 97 grade point average. The salutatorian was Brian Eng. The faculty address was delivered by Frank Aiello, chairman of the high school mathematics department. He gave the class an emotional thank you for their support during the year after the death of his 23-year-old son. The School Boothie Award was presented to Leanne Gallagher as the student who best exemplified the essence of public education. Gallagher was a state diving champion, president of the school recycling club, and a member of SAD and the Mohiscan yearbook staff. It's not just coincidence that Larchmont's assistant building and planning inspector is retiring to the same small town in South Carolina as his boss. Frank DeVore left his job in June after 13.5 years. He spent most of that time working with former village engineer and building inspector Frederick Kellogg. Kellogg retired to Little River, South Carolina 2 years ago, and DeVore decided that when an offer came up to sell his house here, he would retire and join his friend in the South. A much longer-term village employee also retired in June. 66-year-old Willie Brown of Mount Vernon had worked as a garbage collector for the past 35 years. He signed on March 30th, 1954.
And that's our report for this week. Remember, Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News is a volunteer effort. It takes a lot of people to put this program together each week, including reporters, writers, camera people, and producers.
It's a lot of fun, and it doesn't really take much time. If you'd like to join us, why not drop by on a Thursday evening about 7:30. We're in the cable TV studio in the Palmer Avenue building of the high school. I'm Bill Littauer.
And I'm Sven Oehme. We'll look for you next week at the same time, right here on LMC TV, channel 36. Or join us at the Fireman's Carnival on Thursday at 7.
Quinn Yergler. Christian Zambrano. Leanne Zarnowski. Matthew Ziegler. Robert Ziegler. Alexander Zimmerman. Okay, would the graduates be seated, please?
A sound barrier at the duck pond faces opposition.
Rhinebeck picks a school supervisor.
A former skating instructor at Mamaroneck stands trial on sex charges.
And the Manor Park Society celebrates its centennial. Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme, and making her anchoring debut on the show is Chris Williams. Our top story, the Fireman's Carnival. As you can see, we're right here in the middle of the Fireman's Carnival in the LMC-TV booth. Mamaroneck Village's volunteer fire department had its big week last week celebrating the Fireman's Carnival in Harbor Island Park. The first highlight of the week, the Fireman's Parade on Tuesday, all along Mamaroneck Avenue and all the way down to Harbor Island Park. Participating companies came from as far away as New Jersey and Torrington in Connecticut. The different departments were competing for 40 or so prizes in different categories. The event was carried live on Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Television. The show was hosted by our regular anchor on this program, Roger Norum, and by Alice Bloom. The other highlight of the Fireman's Carnival, the 4th of July fireworks. This year, the fireworks display marked also the end of the carnival in Harbor Island Park. If you missed it, mark your calendar for next year.
A former trainer at the Homox ice skating rink is standing trial in state Supreme Court. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Glenn O'Gray has the story.
Stephen M. Savino, a summer skating instructor, is currently on trial for sexual abuse. He has been charged with sexually abusing 5 girls. His charges consist of 61 counts of sexual abuse, including first-degree rape, first-degree sex abuse, and third-degree rape and sodomy. Savino is accused of abusing the girls between 1986 and last November. A world-class figure skating medalist, Savino taught ice skating at the Harvey School in Katona, New York, and until January, he was a skating instructor at Homox Park Ice Rink.
Rhinebeck School District has selected a new superintendent. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Ed Stien has the story.
The Rhinebeck Board of Education promised the community to name an interim superintendent of schools by July 1st, and promised to name a permanent superintendent as close to July 1st as possible. Well, the promise was kept by keeping the interim and the permanent superintendent one and the same person. And the one administrator the Board of Education voted unanimously to hire? None other than Peter J. Mustick, Rhinebeck's assistant superintendent, and ironically, the board's original recommendation back in April, before the national search was undertaken to find the best candidate for the top educational job. Originally, there were over 60 applicants for the position, and once the process narrowed down to a final 5, Mustick himself had to go through the grueling interview process with the various advisory committees, as well as the Board of Education itself. And after having gone through the process and been declared the winner, Mustick told the Daily Times, quote, "I feel much better now about having this position." Mustick has been a 20-year veteran of the Rhinebeck schools. He began as a middle school social studies teacher, became middle school team leader, then middle school principal, while juggling the business aspect of running the school district, ultimately being named assistant superintendent under departing superintendent Dr. Frank Tassone, who, by the way, before departing for Roslyn, Long Island, said of his successor, "I think Peter Mustick will be an outstanding superintendent." And the Board of Education, with much of the community's backing, heartily agrees. This is Ed Stien for LMC-TV News.
People to People Student Ambassador Program. You're about to find out what it's all about.
Kristen Lanza and Adam Neufeld are freshmen at Mamaroneck High, but until then, they're part of the People to People program. Kristen, what's the People to People?
The People to People organization is an organization started by Dwight Eisenhower to try to achieve peace and brotherhood throughout the world.
And what are you going to be doing with them? Adam, I hear you understand you're going on an interesting vacation.
Yeah.
What is it?
We're going to Australia and New Zealand. We're going to Auckland in New Zealand and Adelaide, Cairns, and Kangaroo Island in Australia.
And what will you be doing?
We'll be doing marine biology, like experiments and observations on different animals.
How many people going with you?
There are 20 from our delegation and 200 from the United States.
How does working with marine biology help peace on Earth?
Well, it helps. Not only does the marine biology part help peace, but I think the culture experience, us experience their culture, them learning about our culture also, I think that helps us realize, like, what's going on, so that when we get older, we can relate to them better.
Are there students from other countries going as well?
Not from this delegation, not going to Australia, as far as we know.
Have you studied marine biology in preparation?
Yeah, we had to do a lot of research on it, and over in Homox in 7th grade, I was involved with an organization called Project C, where we did a lot of marine biology with Harbor Island.
What are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to seeing all the nature there. The kangaroos, the koalas, everything like that. I always like this.
That sounds wonderful. Have a great time. And come back in the fall and tell us about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monique, for the interview. Mamaroneck Village Senior Center has a number of events coming up in July. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Roger Norum has the details. He spoke to Virginia Garabo.
I'm Virginia Garabo, and I'm from the Mamaroneck Senior Citizens at 740 Boston Post Road in the town of Mamaroneck. Liz Covington is our director, and Josie Santangelo is her assistant. We'd just like you to know some of the coming events for the month of July. On Monday, July 6th, we have Chippy Russell and volunteers serving lunch and cake. And that'll be the same for the 13th, Monday, July 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. On Tuesday, July 7th, we have line dancing with Josie Santangelo and polka aerobics with Florence Henry and Arts and Crafts Boutique with Virginia Garabo. All our Tuesdays for the month of July are the same, July 14, 21, and 28. On Wednesday, July 8th, we have a movie on our big screen TV and bingo. And on Wednesdays for the month, July 15th, 22nd, 29th, they're all the same. Thursday, July 9th, we have a chorus with Noel Hart, and he's from the county center. We have Nutrition Ed with Liz Covington. July 10th, which is Friday, we have a coffee hour with donuts, lunch, and then there's shopping for the senior citizens by minibus at Finest. All our Fridays on July 17th and 24th are the same. And we have a special for July 16th, a Thursday. We have an ice cream social where you can make your own sundae with all the trimmings. And on July 30th, we have a celebration for the birthdays of June and July. And we have a special guest as Dr. Barnett from the Sarah Newman Home, Lenny Lavastro, and Steve Alteria, our town administrator. We will be closed on Friday, July 31st, because the seniors are going to Atlantic City.
Dinner Dance marks 100th year of Larchmont Manor Society. The Larchmont Manor Park Society celebrated 100 years of service last week. It celebrated with an outdoor black tie ball in the middle of Larchmont Manor. Formed in January 1892 to provide parks and playgrounds for the children of Larchmont, the non-profit organisation maintains the park with interest from beach dues and an endowment fund. The $150 ticket dinner was conceived not only to celebrate the centennial of the Society, but also to increase the endowment fund to cover the upkeep of the park. The ticket cost covered dancing to the music of Lester Lannon and his orchestra, a dinner of lobster and fillet of beef, and a special dessert. And we hear a good time was had by all.
A couple of weeks ago, we reported about a ceremony at which former trustees and former board or commission members received a plaque to honor their services to Mamaroneck Village. But one person did not receive the plaque, Bess Hofstetter, a former trustee. Mayor Paul Norum withheld it because Hofstetter had not followed through on an agreement among the trustees and the mayor to donate 10% of their stipend to the village. In the meantime, Hofstetter has paid the money, but has asked that it be used for the rescue squad or the senior center. Now that she's paid, the village will give her the plaque.
The trustees of the Mamaroneck Village Board met with more than 200 members of the Sons of Italy Alessandro Manzoni Lodge at a wine and cheese reception one day last week. Organised to give lodge members an opportunity to get to know village officials and also to express concern for better representation in the community, the meeting took place at their hall at 676 Mamaroneck Avenue. The 77-year-old lodge has been a meeting place for Italian immigrants for decades and still contains 2 bocce courts for those playing the popular Italian game.
Wood or concrete is the question at the duck pond next to the thruway. A sound barrier is to be constructed there, and residents of the area are discussing whether it should be a structure made from wood or from concrete. A wooden barrier would be longer because the material is cheaper, but it does not filter noise as much as a concrete barrier does.
Lowering your insurance costs may be the thing to do in these tough economic times. Randi Norum, Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News financial reporter, tells you how.
Do you find that you're paying a lot for insurance these days? If you're like most of us, I know that you want to reduce these costs. You can reduce them substantially by taking a higher deductible. For example, If you increase your automobile deductible from $200 to $500, you will in effect lower your collision costs by roughly 25%. Not bad. Do you want to find out more? You can call the National Insurance Consumer Helpline. Their number is 800-942-4242. That's your tax tip for this week. For Larchmont and Mamaroneck Community Television, I'm Randi Norum.
Milton Harbor will probably get it dredging this winter. The project received the approval from the House of Representatives and will now be put before the Senate. Once the dredging gets the final go-ahead, it will be coordinated with a New York State-funded project to restore the premium river marsh in Mamaroneck. Doing both projects at the same time should save money, as the dredge silt from Milton Harbor will be used in the premium river marsh restoration. Chris?
There's a new fitness centre in Larchmont for those interested in keeping fit, and it's co-ed in case you like working out with all your friends and relations. Located in the old Shopwell building at 15 Madison Avenue in Larchmont, Total Fitness Centre stresses pampering and high-tech workouts. No straining is required with the gym's latest modern equipment. For weightlifting, just hit a lever and adjust the weights. Air conditioning, showers and hair dryers are all available for the customer's comfort. The centre is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturdays, and 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. Free day care is offered for children. A female president for the Lions Club. Well, it's happening, and Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Julie DiRaimondo has the story.
How do you address a female lion who fought like a tiger to be leader of the pride? You call her Madam President. Sandra Calvin Singer yesterday became the first female president of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Lions Club. Singer owns the Century 21 Harmony real estate firm in Larchmont and is one of 6 women in the 65-year-old service club that began admitting females 4 years ago. Singer has served as first vice president and as third vice president of the club, whose 40 members are professionals working in Larchmont, whose purpose is to improve the community and generate additional business.
Thanks, Julie. And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, your neighborhood news program.
And because it's a neighborhood news program, we'd like you to get involved. So join us. We put this program together every Thursday night at about 7 o'clock in the Palmer Avenue studio of the Mamaroneck High School, just across the road from Walter Hot Dogs. I'm Chris Williams.
And I'm Sven Oehme. We'll see you again next week on this channel.